I am here with the boys from Chasing Titans. I'm here with Sylvester and Adrian, the metal band. Why are you guys chasing Titans? What were you? How did that happen?
So with
who's
us,
the Titan?
the Titans, it's more like a concept that we came up with when we started. For the longest time, we didn't have a name, and I think especially naming a band is probably, I would say, harder than writing a song, because your name is there forever. You can write tons of songs, but you want something that's cool, that's relevant, and that makes sense to you as a band. And I think with us, all of us, our dream was always to play music. And I remember coming in one day and, having Chasing Titans as a concept, because I always think, like with everyone, whenever we are little kids, we all want to be astronauts and basketball players and
rock stars,
yeah. But then, as we start growing up, we get a lot more jaded and cynical. We start working, and everyone's dreams get like bigger and bigger, but more in a way that it's really hard to climb and hard to ascend as your dream kind of becomes a monolith or like a titan. And so I think Chasing Titans, the concept for us was chasing your dreams, and our titan was playing music and accomplishing a lot of the goals that we were fortunate enough to accomplish. And yeah, that's what we rolled with in Chasing Titans.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah, definitely. Like going after you, it's one of the hardest things I think anybody could do. And like saying before about people coming on the podcast, like who are passionate and driven about going after what they want in life. It's so easy to just be like, oh, it's too hard. Let me just settle for doing, just the basics of, I mean, if you're into it, that's cool. But I think a lot of us, you get in the real world and you're like, fuck, trying to chase your dreams of, those big heights of, let's say, being an astronaut or wanting to, be like an athlete or something.
Yeah.
And something happens and you're like, oh, I guess I've just got to settle for like the 9-to-5 life, which, I mean, hey, some of us are cut out for it, but a lot of us are not as well. And I think, no one gives, I think the risk, I think about this a lot recently, and I've heard people talk about this on other podcasts, I'm just going to rip this off, about people want to be comfortable these days.
Oh, that's it.
People want to be comfortable. Yeah. And I think that restricts a lot of people, just want to be comfortable.
Well, exactly. I think that's the biggest thing, though, is the challenge of getting outside your comfort zone, of doing those extra things. It's easy to be comfortable and it's easy to say no or come up with excuses, but it's just that drive of how much you really want it at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, you're going to die. So just go full at it. You can't come up with any excuse, like at the end of the day, whatever you want to grow, you must put light onto it. You must put water into it for it to grow. And if you treat it like a baby, you want to see it fruition. And that's life in general, with anything you want in your goals.
Yeah, but then money comes into it,
That's always the stumbling block.
It's the money, and like you got to try and like fight off like reality.
Yeah.
'Cause even for me, when I was younger, for sure, it was like, that's the funny thing about music as well, is like even if you're talented, you have a talent or you got a skill, it doesn't mean anything.
No, that's it. I think as time has gone on, it's become so competitive where everyone is unbelievably talented, and that's not cutting it anymore.
No.
Like 30 years ago, a lot of people could do music full time. A lot of bands here could be doing it full time. And once you get signed, that's it. But that's not it anymore. I think with Spotify, with how much the music industry in terms of artists have lost in terms of revenue these days, so it's really hard. I know there's a lot of bands from 20 years ago who were doing it full time, who've had to get part-time jobs while they're touring just to make break even or make ends meet. So it's pretty crazy.
But you guys are signed. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
So it's a European label, right?
Yeah.
What were they called again, sorry?
Sliptrick Records.
Sliptrick Records. How did that relationship happen?
What happened with that? We were really lucky. We released our self-titled EP last year. That just had 3 tracks on it. And this is funny as well, because when we released it, we sent it out locally and we sent it out internationally as well. And we were anticipating more of getting played locally than international. I mean, we will send it out not thinking anything's going to happen. We've never been played on a New Zealand radio station before, but we've been played extensively in like UK, Europe, Mexico, all these countries.
Awesome.
And that's how the label signing actually happened. We got onto a top 10 chart. I think we peaked at number 3 on an Australian radio station. And that's when we managed to get this deal going with Sliptrick to release our album. Yeah.
Awesome. And the relationship there, is it a metal label, right?
Yeah.
Primarily, is it
Yeah.
independent?
Yeah,
label?
it's an indie label, and they work with a lot of European-based metal bands.
Yep.
And I think they have a couple of Australian bands as well on their roster.
They help you guys with like promotions and like
Yeah.
giving you guys opportunities and things. Look out for you guys.
Yeah, I think especially with the album we released, we've had so many really great promotional opportunities that we were so lucky just because we were signed. We had that relationship and we were able to do. We did like radio station interviews in the US and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool to do.
Awesome. Yeah, that's like it's the big thing, eh? Like it's so often that a lot of like bands in New Zealand. I know of a couple. I generally use Banks Arcade as an example. They sort of bounced over to Australia and they're doing very well now.
Yeah.
And there's kind of this thing I've been thinking about even when I did like music was doing it relatively full time. Is that sort of question? It's like what would happen if like you jump ship or if you like focus elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because we're just too small in New Zealand to really get things going. The music scene's not really big enough, and you know it's you know unless you're 660 or something like, or a reggae band, because the only way I've made money in music, outside of originals, doing cover bands, and you know, if you do that sort of work, but you know I find that pretty like, I mean, it was cool for a bit, but I found it a bit like demoralizing by the end, you know, playing other people's songs. If you're a creative person, that stuff can wear on you a bit, especially for someone like myself. But I think a lot of us, it's like, you got it. Like how do you make it how do you make it work, right? Had like working full-time jobs,
and still trying to do all of this,
and then trying to do all of this at the same time. So yeah, it's like a drive. Have you guys played overseas yet?
Not yet. No. That's the goal, though. We're hoping to try and get ticked off very soon in the future.
Australia, or just it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because of a label, we could have made a European tour happen. But for us, I think we want to try Australia first because that's where we peaked at number 3. We have a lot of fans there as well. So for us, it kind of makes sense to kind of see that market. And the question, has been on our mind as well, is whether to stay in New Zealand or like do the thing, like hop across and see where we can go there. Because I think especially for the genre of music we play, the New Zealand market is almost non-existent because of how small we are and that kind of thing. But there is a market for it in Australia, in Europe, in these kind of countries. That's why you'd have bands like Northlane and Parkway Drive getting super big. And
Parkway Drive, you seen their recent performance in Brisbane?
Yeah, that was
nuts.
It's
huge.
It's insane. And I always tell myself, like, if Parkway Drive and Northlane were from New Zealand, how big could they get staying in New Zealand?
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the.
It wouldn't be on the scale. No one would be on the scale that they are. Yeah, it's kind of like a bit sad when you think of it like that. But it's true, especially doing music in general in New Zealand is already difficult. Even if you wanted to do pop or whatever it was, now you're doing metal. You're doing like metalcore
everything,
or something, and now it's like you're just like, we're
like on God mode trying to do anything. It's so hard. Because it's just so competitive, and I mean, we do have a lot of grants and a lot of really great opportunities for local artists, but that's the thing. I think if you're playing in a mainstream genre, you already have a leg up, versus all us metal bands. And then from there's tons of artists playing in that genre. And I mean, almost weekly I hear about this amazing artist who was from New Zealand who's not in New Zealand anymore. Yeah. I was like, damn, I didn't know they were Kiwi, but of course they had to move to actually, get it done seriously. Yeah.
For you guys, sound of, I checked out the new remastered album you guys put out, and listen to like your old EP. You guys seem to because in the first one there was some clean vocals. Seems you guys have taken on like the almost like hip hop style. Yeah. And then like that's keeping the screaming in there. Why did you guys kind of, just maybe for the moment, why did you want to drop the melodic stuff a bit more?
So this is a funny thing because the EP was written after the majority of songs on this latest album.
Okay, right. So maybe it's the reverse.
Yeah, we actually spoke about this where it's so funny. Like a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we can see the evolution," and we're like, "Yeah," because they are like I think
it's a reverse evolution.
Yeah,
to us, but to you guys.
Yeah, because I think there are a couple of songs like "Complete Submission" and "Poison Pill," which are like newer than the EP and written for the album. But there's songs that are like 5 years old on that album, and when we did this, we were like, basically had the whole history of the band since we started writing on this album together with really new stuff. And the EP was, I think the EP was fully written just in lockdown. So like 2020, 2021. So that's kind of like what the band is now, but the album is now and also from the past. And the next one is definitely going to have a lot more melodic elements to it. Our first album was more about like the history of Chasing Titans from the beginning to where it is now, and now it's like going forward. So we didn't drop melody at all. It was just I think our older songs before we had real singing in it was what's on the album.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because it's kind of like that, like Linkin Park kind of almost sort of like rappy.
That's what everyone is saying.
That's what it sounds like to my
everyone
ears.
is saying that. Yeah,
but that was because what, just weren't confident in maybe doing the singing at the time, or
was
it just that the songs didn't feel like they needed it.
Yeah, when we started, like we were searching for a vocalist. It was me. I was playing guitar, Sly was on bass, Torrance was on drums, and we were searching for a vocalist because we were thinking about just being like a hardcore band or something, and we couldn't find a vocalist. Like we'd find someone who was good, but then they'd be leaving Auckland in a couple of weeks. Like no one was really fitting in. So I played in a lot of hip hop bands growing up, and Sly could scream, so we were like, let's try something. And that's where we started. And then on the EP, that's when I really started singing a lot more. And that's when those 3 songs came up. So for the album, it was like going back into the archives, bringing these songs out. And I think it's cool in a way because the next album will be pretty different as well. To what we have now. We've already started throwing across material and plans and stuff. I was kind of thinking about this the other day where, the next album is going to be a lot more melodic and quite different to this one, and I wonder what that's going to be like. And it's going to be interesting, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to have a big mix of styles and things to be able to draw off. I like I was like kind of listening to like the instrumental like going on in the background, like with the music, and like trying to figure out you guys' influences, and it definitely has like that kind of like 2000s, like kind of like authentic, like that kind of crunchy metalcore, like the chugs, and then like those kind of like big riffs and stuff. It's real fun. I like it. I like how fun it is, and I think like what was the song? Like I think it was off the one of the, and you guys play around with the samples a bit as well. Playing around with it. Who produces?
I've
you've done it all.
Yeah. Cool. I think for the album, because you won't hear any of that on the EP, and when we came to the album, I really wanted to I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of singing on this one, but I still wanted some ambience and atmosphere, like that had emotional qualities to it. So I started just playing around with some synths, and we got some really good stuff out of that. And so I produced, I think, man, I wrote most of the synths in like a week or something. I think it was crazy. Like we took all the songs out.
Has it 10 songs on it, right?
Yeah.
10 songs now? That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it was
and all
crazy,
like the little
man.
intro, like the little like what would you call it? Like intro, or
like the interludes and the soundscapes.
Transitions,
it was it was crazy how a lot of it, like a lot of the songs, if people heard the original demos or what we played those songs live like in 2019, it sounds so different to what it actually came out. But I think a lot of songs are like that anyway, where you start and where you end.
I think I think that was the biggest game changer as well, as once we've added synths into our music, it just changed the whole dynamics of it. It was filling in something that needed to be filled in. Instead of just instruments, just having the synths in the background, it just made it more airy, more spacious, more time to breathe, and really capture that emotion as well. And everything just fit in together. And I think after adding the synths, our direction was kind of pushed forward towards another way as well. Yeah. And it was a great time for us to evolve as a band.
Yeah, because you're a 3-piece metalcore band. That's pretty uncommon. Like there's not most of the time it'll be two guitarists and bass and then or whatever.
Yeah.
So you guys are you could kind of need that extra little bit in there to probably help
make it more
support
fun and
a bit more
yeah.
full,
Yeah.
maybe a bit more full, a bit more full production. But I noticed I saw some photos because you kind of get off the bass as well.
Yes.
So then it's just guitar and drums. You guys do that live, get a bit crass fun. So how many songs do you do that in? You decide to drop the bass?
Well, it's usually like the first song.
First song and the last song usually.
First song and last song.
And when we do an encore as well with the EP stuff, then we do it as well. Because I think like the thing about a 3-piece heavier band, I always loved the concept of it. Like bands like Chevelle, who would play in that genre and still have that. And a lot of times you'd see like 4-piece bands or 5-piece bands and kind of following the usual script of it. And I just think it's cool to do something different, but at the same time, it kind of allows us to be more adventurous with the dynamic in the band. So
well, you've almost got less. I mean, I guess from a production point of view, you guys can go as crazy as you want, but you're going to have to play live at some point.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
so it's like, how do you eventually do all that?
Yeah,
and
so
then,
we have a backing track, when Sly hops off and just does vocals, so we do bass as a backing track, but do everything else live. And I think the thing with the 3-piece as well is like, you have to be 100% on your instrument. There's no opportunity to kind of just like, oh, it's fine, no one's going to notice, because everyone's noticing with 3 people in the band.
And that's the thing too, as a 3-piece compared to a 5-piece, people would have a look at us, you got someone's from South Africa, our drummer who's Chinese, but Kiwi. Me, I'm some weird mix. We look like we've met at the immigration centre. You don't know what to expect.
That's fun though. I like that.
Yeah. So we put them up these shoes, and from a 5-piece band with this big sound, for us as a 3-piece, how much can you actually really give? Us, we're all doing instruments whilst doing vocals. So already that's a 6-piece with the Sims. That's a 7-piece band from a 3-piece. So we've already blown the expectations away. And, we've played with a lot of bands like 6-piece, 5-piece. Kudos to them. Do what you want. But a lot of times they're just standing there just doing simple things. It's like, don't you want to use the most and do the most you can? So sometimes less is more and you stand out more.
But then you got to work harder.
Exactly. But that's the thing. Nothing wrong with that.
No, of course not. But I feel like with bands though, like if you can, it depends how committed you are, right? How hard you want to go with it. I think being a metal drummer these days is probably one of the most hardest things to do because it's a lot of work. All the limbs insane. Flying, fucking double kicks, blast beats, the whole works.
Yeah, for sure.
It.
But I mean, and also the most expensive instrument to pursue, especially in metal. How many cymbals does
Torrance have?
Does he break on the on a regular every month?
Yeah, he's insane. Like
he's a machine.
Yeah, I saw a video of him played on his own. I was like, fuck, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's crazy because Torrance, he when he's not playing or practicing, he's busking on Queen Street. Or,
oh shit! Cool.
Yeah, in town somewhere. That's how a lot of people always ask us after they see us, like, how does Torrance even do that? And it's because he plays drums so much.
And like plays every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Obsessed.
Yeah, there's no magic pill. It's just like, I would say he plays at least 10 hours every single day. No exaggeration.
Yeah, it's his passion every day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome. So with you guys playing live, you guys have click tracks? As you guys on clicks live? Oh, cool. You probably have to be if you're doing all this.
Yeah, with all the backing tracks and stuff.
How far do you guys go with the backing tracks?
So with
like
us,
how much do you put on? Because there's this like fine balance from what I know and I've seen it. The example I think I've used on here before is the most extreme amount of backing tracks I've ever heard live was 21 Pilots.
Oh yeah,
and I just thought it was a bit shit. Because it was 2 guys, and I'm like, well, that's cool. 2 guys, there's a vocalist, and like he does a bit of bass, or maybe does some piano and keys, and then you got the drummer. But then like there's this massive sound, and it's just a huge backing track, and it's just like obviously on that level, like you can get a band. Come on, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You're so big, but I think as like a local band, like I think it's all right, but I think it depends like how far you can rely on it.
Yeah.
Because even some bands will put their guitars and other things in the background, and I always find that weird.
Yeah, we don't ever do anything like that. I think the way we approach it is as minimal as possible to still have the song there, but not be like, oh, we can't play the song because there's no backing track. So it's just our synths. And even in that aspect, we were actively
You twat.
I ruined my own podcast. I'm such a fucking hypocrite. I'm such a fucking hypocrite.
Amateur.
It was over before it began.
I'm like, no one got any phones on here, all that shit.
Exactly.
And then I'm on flight mode. Yeah, now I am. Sorry, continue your story.
For backing tracks, the way we always approach it is, I know there is that big debate at the moment. For us, we want to have as less as possible. So just the synths and the interludes that are there. To the point where before we even had it, we were actively searching for a keyboardist or a DJ to be like the fourth member, because we wanted someone to be able to do that live. And honestly, in New Zealand, trying to get that is almost impossible.
That's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, that's when we started with backing tracks. But I mean, guitars, unless Sly is just doing his frontman thing, we'd have bass live, guitars, drums, it's just going to be like the interludes that we play live. I think there is a definite like fine line. And when you have things, I think with like Royal Blood as well, or 21 Pilots, or like a lot of two-piece bands that start, utilizing it a bit more, it does take away from the live performance. And I think arguably that's like where you judge the merit of a band is the live performance. So that's a really important aspect to have and not just drown it out in like backing tracks.
Yeah. Well, we don't fuck around when we play live. We give it our all. We give it our best, and you can tell, you can see it. There's no lies, no fakeness. When we perform, we give it our all. I'm tired. We're both exhausted.
Yeah, at the end, yeah. Especially doing like metal, like heavy music live is, it's very,
Exactly.
it's tiring. It's tiring. Yeah, like, what was I going to say? It was, then the only band I know that can pull that, like have a guy who does like does the backing tracks and even custom percussion is Written by Wolves. If you guys know them.
Oh yeah.
Like Ollie, I've had him on here. He does like all that, but he has a massive job because he's also they don't have a bassist, so he's doing like synth bass and then tracks to the custom percussion to backing vocals. So he's just as busy as a guitarist essentially, or probably more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. Like, how far can you take those backing tracks and do all that,
Yeah, I think because I remember reading this thing from not so long ago where Falling in Reverse cancelled a show because they lost 2 laptops.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
And then it was
they got
like,
a
what
lot
the
of
hell?
shit. They got a lot of shit for that,
And that's really bad. Like I think that's almost like the mark now for every band is we if someone's using backing tracks, sweet, but if you can say we can't play the show because we lost the backing tracks, then you need to cut down on the backing tracks.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I have noticed recently is with like some of the younger bands coming out, like teenagers, and now I've seen a few like bands opening. Like there's a band called Where's Jive had on here, and a couple of like kind of rock and even punk rock bands. But younger, they don't like, they're like kind of back to being like raw as fuck again. It's sort of like, because I felt like in the 2010s, so I was on here before, it's like there was a lot of like over producing and polishing, including in metal. Like everyone wanted to be, and like fair enough, you want things to sound as good as possible, but it probably went too far down that end to being too polished, too cleaned up, and it's like you lose the essence of metal or hardcore, which is meant to be dirty. It's not really meant to be really nice.
Definitely.
So you kind of, I think that kind of got a bit lost, and I feel like now maybe there's like a reaction to that of like changes. So I'm kind of I'm fascinated like watching like how like the music trends and how that changes.
Yeah, there's definitely a fine balance between it, and I think that's the thing. I think when it was first started, it was amazing. It was like something so cool. It was groundbreaking. And so new.
I remember like the first time I heard like, is it Joey Sturgis? The Joey Sturgis producer? He did like a lot of those Rise Records guys. I'm not a huge fan of some of it, but the production was above anything that had, unless it was a massive producer, but like that label had like the most modern production. Same with like Periphery, like Misha was another one. Just that level of production just wasn't really heard of in metal. And it was so digitized, though, to such a point, but it was different. But then it just got completely, like, overdone and washed. Everything got kind of, overproduced. Yeah. So it's been funny to, like, watch it. But I think as I was like, if you're a band and you have an average demo recording, it's like, I don't know, like you release or like to give it to, but also the technology at home got so much better as well.
Oh,
to
that's
record
it.
At home. I mean, that also kind of changed the whole. I mean, you don't have to spend $100,000 to record an album, right?
Yeah, no, that's it. Technology, I mean, it's advancing so much, and even from live performance, it's one of these things you got to embrace. I know, like at the moment, a lot of bands are switching over to in-ear monitors versus just having no just earplugs, actually having a monitoring system. And that's funny because that's another debate as well, is there's a lot of older bands who just refuse to even use a monitoring system because they want it to be as organic as possible. And a lot of bands are switching over to it because it's so much better, and you're not at the mercy of a venue. I think we played a venue once that had no wedges and no monitors at all, and we couldn't hear anything. This was before we had IEMs, and after that show, there was no turning back from IEMs.
Yeah, it's a game, especially if you're a vocalist. Like, fuck, because otherwise you just hear drums and just like, it's just like the whole show is just fucking crash cymbals. And
exactly,
fucking,
it's trying to fight on stage of who can be loudest just to hear them fucking selves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember when I was in a metal band and we'd play a lot, and I just eventually, as soon as we'd start, I'd hit my guitar and be like gong, and then I'd be like, I can't hear anything.
That's it exactly.
Just can't hear shit, and everyone's like, I don't know what we sound like, sound person or no sound person. You're just plugged into a PA and it's like off you go. It's like, fuck, I don't know what this is going to be like. And, like, because if you can't hear yourself, you also performance suffers. And you get all, I don't know, for me, I would get like a bit jittery. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
You get lost.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I'd hate that. But yeah, the in-ears and even having, I even found like wedge is a funny one as well. Like you have like a wedge, but then depending on how it's angled and how good it is, like you might not even get everything and hear everything. So
that's it.
In metal, it's tricky because it's loud. So it's just
and everyone wants to be louder than anyone else.
Loud.
I can't hear myself. Turn me up. Is what everyone is saying.
Yeah, that classic one of the guitar ray and sound check.
Exactly.
Like, oh yeah,
turn it on. Yeah, no one's looking.
Absolutely.
And then you're just playing off muscle memory. If you can't, that's what I was doing. I couldn't hear my guitars at all, so I'm literally playing the song off muscle memory and hoping everything is syncing up. From the video later, it sounded fine, but it didn't sound fine when we were playing it.
And the moment, this is horrible. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay, but it could be. On stage, you want it to sound as good to you, so you feel confident as well. It's the confidence factor of doing that live. 100%. Yeah, for sure. What would you say over the last few years have been like a challenge that you guys have been that you had to fight, that you had to that you then overcame? Is there you guys any like challenges that you had to overcome to kind of get to where you are? That stick out?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Let me come back to you in a minute. I'll let the smart guy answer the questions.
Well, I think for us, especially with the genre we're playing, there's a lot of bands out there, and trying to get metal music out in New Zealand is an extreme challenge. As soon as you have any kind of screaming on a track, they're not going to play it on the radio, at least not in New Zealand.
You're already taken out.
It's done. It's done.
Exactly.
And I remember like hearing really cool bands from other countries that were in our genre. And that was a thing that was wild to me, because even back home in South Africa, we'd have a show on a rock station that had like an hour that's dedicated to metal, and I discovered a lot of bands with that. No such thing, as far as I know, exists in New Zealand, even on the rock. Like there's no.
There used to be the Axe Attack. Do you remember the Axe Attack? Yeah. There used to be this like, it was late night though.
Oh yeah, similar, yeah.
But it was like late night, like Axe Attack. You listen to like an hour or a couple of, maybe it was in 2 hours. I can't remember. But they would do it.
They don't have that anymore.
Nah, but it's also like radio again. Another thing, like how important is it? And it's cool, but is it like I mean, it's just another platform for you to be on, really, to get heard.
Yeah,
within locally in New Zealand, but it's kind of like that. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been in a band in a while, but I do wonder with a lot of bands like how important that is these days. How you feel about it? Like, I mean, obviously it's nice. Being on rock would be cool, but is it going to transform and take us somewhere?
Well, arguably for the artist, it could change everything. Because, say for us, if we didn't get onto that radio station in Australia, we would never have been signed. We would never have done all the things we've done. So, and that's the way I always approach it. Where sometimes it could be like, well, this could amount to absolutely nothing, and there's so much effort going into it. But at the same time, it just takes this one person who's tuned in at that one time to say, hey, there's something here, let me reach out to these guys, and then something happens. So I think that kind of taught me the whole thing, especially when we kind of blanket marketed our EP and we got signed. And I mean, to be honest, like, we do get played a lot overseas. like weekly, and a lot of times it is that thing where it's just on the radio, a couple of people will hear it, it doesn't really mean much. But at the same time, I still have that thing where it just takes one person. And I think that's kind of another thing where it comes to, you can have like this different approach where it could be, this is, why am I doing this? It's probably nothing will happen versus, well, it could happen and then you still do it, It's like, it's almost like the lottery in a sense,
Are we going to get picked up? Or you don't know if you put your music out or somewhere over here.
It's the same approach too for when we play live shows. It doesn't matter how many people are there, you still play your heart out because all it takes is that one person in the crowd to really just see you. And that's all it is. Just treat everything graciously and give it your best,
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, I mean that's a great way to think about it. Yeah, I mean, playing metal and that, like, there's nowhere to hide really with it either. Like, if you're not passionate about it, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like straight away people know. And I think if you've got like small rooms and everyone's like doing this, but you just
the classic stunts.
Like, we just got to send it like regardless.
Yeah,
which can be like, it can be tricky, but especially with like doing like heavy stuff and you got like the breakdowns and stuff and like really high energy music and everyone's just like
you gotta really get them pumped up.
Not to sound like a dick though, but like fuck it, Rock FM, they play like, they have like every now and then midway through the day they have like two bands, two Kiwi bands, some local bands, like, oh my god, you do so much for the community, get fucked. And because the bands they do play, no offense to them, but it's shitty fucking music. It really is. I'm listening to this, I'm like, it's like shitty produced, shitty written. Why the fuck would you promote shit?
Probably would just be nepotism, most likely.
Oh, yeah. But it's just like money talks, and that's the other thing as well. It's just terrible. But, for us, we're working full-time jobs. All our money and our focus goes into this. I'm sure I can save a night of getting pissed, putting towards the bands, of us chasing our dreams, getting closer to there. And that's the thing, sacrifice. You got to sacrifice a lot of things. Friendships, if you want to take this that serious next level, because sometimes not everyone wants to see you succeed. People will congratulate you, and it comes down to that also thing in New Zealand. The big problem is tall poppy syndrome. I try not to keep going on about it because you don't want to give it too much attention. You rather succeed and break that curse that's around us. But at the same time, you got to fucking acknowledge it as well. When you're playing with other bands and you see there's talent there and people are giving their heart out, don't be a douchebag and slag them off. Just share their stuff, share their music, help rise together, because if we all rise, if we all promote each other, dude, we're all winning.
That's like that mentality where I think in the music scene, which is even in New Zealand, it's bizarre, and I've experienced it, is when people put each other down or don't support or don't care.
Yeah,
it's real weird. It's like, it's very small. It's like, I don't think people understand. Like, some people don't understand if you help each other, like, you'll do well.
And as a small country as well, it's much harder for us Kiwis to really get out there. So would you not think logically
all the
let's
support.
all pull together and support each other?
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
If one person wins, everyone wins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's weird like that for sure. What do you guys do outside of music? You guys got any other hobbies?
Apart from I won't say
something as of BDSM or something.
I was about to say smoking meth, but no.
Smoking meth. That explains the energy.
That's just undiagnosed ADHD.
Yeah. Is it meth or that's a good game? Is it meth or ADHD?
Is it because I'm moldy, bro? I can save it, I think.
Huh?
No, I'm joking.
It's all good.
No, so we both work full time.
Yeah.
I work at construction with aluminium joinery. Other than that, I go to the gym, hang out with friends, just trying to fucking live.
Yeah. Fair enough. About yourself? You do anything else? You do like producing?
Yeah. I mean, most of my focus has always been on Chasing Titans, but I think after the album came out, I had a lot of offers of work with a lot of artists, which I would really love to at some point pursue. And I do a lot of art as well, digital art,
cool.
Compositing. That's one of my main focuses. And that's a huge
what is that compositing? What does that mean?
Oh, so compositing is kind of taking images from separate original images, joining them together in a single image and making them look like they belong in the same environment. And it's an insane. I mean, it's used a lot in cinema and stuff like that, and it's a pretty insane kind of thing to do, but it's absolutely fascinating. I'm so passionate about it, and the digital side of those things.
That explains your album artwork. I had a look at with the angel with the different wings and stuff. So that's all
Yeah.
you, is it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, with that, I think like with art as well, I wanted to kind of visually represent what the album is sonically, and the kind of juxtaposition between two different, like the dark and the light and that kind of thing. I love that kind of stuff. So that's a lot of my time is spent in that world as well. And yeah, I guess the next album cover I'll have to start working on now. It took me ages to do that. Yeah, it took like a year, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
Shit, a year.
Yeah,
It's just never good enough.
Yeah, that's a problem. Like the problem with me and art is like I'm one of these kind of perfectionists where I literally spend hours every day redoing something till it meets that standard. And like sometimes I think, because a lot of other artists, they do it, it's kind of like this positive, happy kind of thing. And for me, I get like anxiety, like, just like, oh, it's not good enough, and doing it and stress. And so, yeah.
It's more of a painful hobby.
It's a painful, yeah, it is. I mean, I absolutely love it. But I know like it takes ages for me to complete anything, because I'm always like, oh, well, I'd like lie awake and say, yeah, that's cool, but what if I try this? What if I try that? And then I'd literally wake up at like 2 a.m, boot up my PC, get my tablet out and start like, so let me try this. And yeah, it's a hard life, man.
Being creative, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just about to slice my ears off.
It's a blessing and a curse, eh?
Yeah.
Sweet. So with the album out, but you guys got any touring plans? Gigs coming up or anything like that?
Yeah, we just finished a tour recently, and we do want to do like an album tour for Infinite Paradox, which we still need to organize. And I think at the end of the year we're projecting to try to get across maybe to Australia to do a tour there. That's our big goal for the year, so hoping we can get that sorted. But yeah, I think before we do that, I'd love to do some local touring, maybe go to the South Island if we can, because we've never done any shows there. I mean, we've played North Island extensively, but it'd be really cool to check it out. I heard Christchurch has this amazing local music kind of thing going on, so it'd be amazing.
There's a lot of metal in Christchurch.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
That'll be super.
We'll just try not to get shot.
Well, fuck. Who knows?
They're probably saying that about Auckland at this point.
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something crazy. I mean, you're from South Africa. So,
Yeah.
Crime over there is wild. The stories I've heard about can be pretty crazy. But in New
Yeah.
Zealand, it was always like, you can have your card, you can leave your keys in your car and all that. But ever since like the last 5 years, and especially with COVID and stuff, it's like, unfortunately, we're like the rest of the world now.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like police wouldn't even. I think they would have a gun in the car.
Yeah,
but they would never come out with a gun.
Yeah, that's it.
Whereas now, I see police now with like rifles and stuff.
and
I saw
assault.
like one on. I was driving up Hobson Street in the city, and I don't know if they're doing a raid or something had happened. All have like assault rifles.
Oh,
and that's
crazy.
like it was just what's happened the last 5 years, with the Christchurch thing, with the shootings in the city, to even out in West Auckland. Like, unfortunately, now we've become like a bit of the rest of the world, which is a shame. But there's a lot of other reasons for that. But it's just like kind of makes me a bit sad, I suppose.
Yeah, it's crazy because I came to New Zealand in 2015. It was so different back then.
Yeah, I know.
And I was like,
crazy,
man,
right?
this is so sweet. And now I'm
Nice
like,
just
just like home.
Yeah, I remember I heard crazy things about like I work with you South Africans telling me that you can't stop at red lights or anything like that. You just got to drive straight through, otherwise you're gonna get cars jacked or you might get shot.
Hell yeah, it's like the rule. I remember when I was in uni and stuff back home, and me and my friends would go out clubbing and everything. Whenever we'd be driving around at night, say if it was like after 10 p.m., you just go you go to a traffic light. You don't stop, you start slowing down. If it's red, no one's around, and just keep on going. And it was crazy. It reminded me like with the articles that come out these days, I just think that, man, it sounds so much like back home. And it's a shame, and I don't know what the solution is, but Yeah, it's a bit of a Wild West, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it's that cost of living thing, right? Cost of living, and I think times are just a lot harder, and there's so many factors. I mean, how many wars have we got on right now?
Oh yeah, I can't even count. Yeah, like I'm just trying to keep up
Yeah.
with something, and and then another war breaks out, and then like something else happens, and then
I think the craziest thing is like for me looking at like because we're like in a recession or whatever, but like you look at like 2008, there was the crash in that, and there was all in that, but now it's like, okay, we've got a crash and we've got wars and we've got all this, and it's just like fucking hell, and that's why like music and shit and all that right now is real important.
yeah.
You know, art becomes, people kind of forget, I don't know, maybe don't pay, I don't know, not pay attention. People want escapism, but I think people now are like, I think people are angry as well. So this is like a lot of potential for metal to do quite well, I think, at the moment.
Hopefully, if you have one positive out of this, it's the metal resurgence.
Yeah, well, people are pissed, man. Like I don't know. Like I said, see like even young bands now, like the punk rock stuff is popping off, and like
it's coming back.
Yeah, and like people being more, I don't know, just like wanting, like, for the frustration. I think with people living on devices a lot these days, and a lot of, I mean, God, we've gone on this for ages, but I think people just really want like the community connection. Like things are bad, it's fucked. Like look at the things going on, things aren't working. Like we're mad, and I think it's important for like metal bands or art people to come together and be like, I don't know, try and fucking work
make it
together
happen
to make it better. But it's fuck. Especially like getting older as well, you're just like, God. It's just like you think, because I think being like younger, and I always be like, not naive, but you're like, you don't really understand the magnitude of things. Now older, you see world events and you're like, oh God. But oh sweet guys, let's just double check time. All right, sweet. I might do some quick fire rounds for you guys. Some questions, and this is both of you, I'll be saying too, so we'll give it a go. All right. So actually for this one, no, I didn't do the pedal question, but you're a bassist. Do you use pedals?
I do use a Helix pedal. Pedal is Adrian.
Okay. Yeah. Favorite pedal to you, like favorite pedal?
Oh, for me is a chorus pedal.
Chorus pedal?
Yeah, love it, because for me it's gives me back that 1980s new wave post-punk drive, that kind of airy sound. Sad.
Yeah. That's cool. Especially to bring that into the band. That's cool.
Yeah.
What about you, bro?
For me, it's funny. There's a very specific pedal. It's an Ibanez WD7 Weeping Demon. I've had this pedal. I sold it, and I've bought it again. And the second time I bought it, I imported a genuine, like almost new one from Japan. It's absolutely amazing. It's a wah pedal, and I just absolutely love the hell out of this thing. I hardly even use it in our music. I think there's like 1 or 2 songs, but it's there. It takes so much space on my pedal board, but it has to be there. I mean, it's spring loaded. It has so much potential with different sounds, and I can't tell you how much I love this thing.
Right. One album from an artist you'd take to a desert island. That's the only one you can listen to.
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say it would be Breaking Benjamin's Saturate.
Oh,
I absolutely love that album. Even that one, and We Are Not Alone, the one after, I could listen to that like 24 hours a day, man.
Mine would probably be Killing Joke, Nighttime album, 1985.
Okay.
That or Bring Me Horizon, There Is a Hell, Let's Keep It a Secret.
Oh, the third album.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's
that
not as popular as
Sempiternal.
Even like
That's my favorite of theirs as well. I think
the
that was
third album.
Yeah,
interesting. I think you guys might be the first people I've met who really love that album.
Oh man, yeah.
Because most people love that, even like that real first
Count Your Blessings. Deathcore.
That was so funny as well. How different that sounded
jump
too.
from that,
like you listen to that and say, they have a pop punk song. You'd be like, what?
Exactly.
You know?
Or in a song of Grimes.
Yeah.
It's Sheeran.
Yeah, exactly.
And all these rappers like Lil Uzi. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cool though.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I love that.
Yeah. Let's see. Favorite. Oh, you didn't come up with. Oh, no, you said yours. Sorry, Killing Joke. What would you say? Most influential artists for the band.
Definitely Bring Me the Horizon. I mean,
Horizon?
Without a doubt, like I'd say they play a big part in our sound.
Bring Me the Horizon. We've got our own, obviously, influences as well.
Yeah, what ones that you guys share? shared influence?
Well, we both love metalcore, but I love more post-punk, late 70s, early 80s, new wave.
Ah, yeah. So we're talking Joy Division?
Joy Division, love Joy Division.
Cool.
That era. So what about you, Adrian?
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, it'd be a lot of the... Sly has actually introduced me to a lot of bands that I didn't listen before that I love, like Asking Alexandria.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's amazing. And even some of older bands, like the Smiths, man, they're like on my daily playlist now.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, like, loving them.
Smiths
like,
are great.
Yeah,
it's not Morrissey.
so good.
But great music. Great
Great
music.
music.
Yeah. And I think even from the synth perspective, I appreciate like a lot of what those guys from the 70s and 80s done. And I think that's one of the kind of cool things with us, because we listen to a lot of different kind of things that influence what we do. And I think we can learn a lot from so many different genres. So yeah, I mean, like everything from Bring Me the Horizon, Asking Alexandria, to the Smiths, the Cure, a lot of bands like that. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's such a compliment. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
bro. Damn.
No, man, I've been loving them.
One piece of advice you'd give to an artist or a band that wants to, start and like pursue music?
Don't give up. For me, just don't give up and just work your ass off and put what you can into it. Don't listen to negativity. Take advice and stuff and be constructive about it. But see where you are doing things wrong and see where you can improve as well. Learn from other bands. We have the internet, in the palm of our hands. We have that knowledge that we can gain access to learn from. Just focus on that.
Yeah, I think everything Sly said, and also just if you want to do it and you believe in yourself, you can get whatever you want done. You'll find a way to do it as long as you keep working at it. We've done so many things, which is crazy. The first day that I met Sly in 2018, we sat down for a beer at this place called Aotea House in Aotea Square. We spent 5 hours sitting there, and literally everything we've accomplished, we spoke about on that first day. Like everything from getting signed to releasing an album to touring through different cities in New Zealand. It's crazy. And I still, we put in obviously a lot of work and a lot of hustle, but I'm pretty sure a lot of it has to do with that belief and that drive just to kind of accomplish these goals that we've had, because we did have challenges with no vocalists, things not always working out, but we still found a way because we had this common goals to attain that we so believe in. So I think if there's anyone out there who really wants to do it and they have their heart in it, nothing is going to stop you except yourself. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really great. That was like a real wholesome answer. I think the funniest answer I've had on here was the one guy said, it was from Voodoo Blue, and he said, "Oh, don't do it." But then he said it like, "Don't do it," and from that, you'll probably do it.
Nice.
But yeah, no, that was a really wholesome answer. I like that one too.
Like cerebral.
Reverse psychology, that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, sweet guys. Anything else you want to promote before we round it off?
Well, our debut album Infinite Paradox is out, so if you guys haven't heard that, please have a listen. Let us know what you think. We really hope you enjoy it. And yeah, we have the music video for first single Falling Down has been released a couple of weeks ago, and we will be releasing more singles and more videos in the future, and probably be going on tour very soon, but that'll all come out on Facebook and social channels. So if you do want to catch us live, keep an eye on that. And yeah, see you at the next show.
Oh, sweet. Anything from you, bro?
Get fucked.
All right, sweet. That's been Chasing Titans, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And cheers, fellas, for coming on.
Thank you
Cheers,
so
man.
much.
Thanks for having us.
Good. See you, everyone. Bye.